common referencing styles. You could use the Chicago style or the Turabian. It's the same thing, Chicago or Turabian. It's named after Kate Turabian, but it's commonly called the Chicago style. The Modern Languages Association, or MLA style, or the APA, American Psychological Association style. You can explore those websites for yourself. I'm not going to look at each one of them here. Let me just say that the Chicago style is the style that is favored in the humanities. All right. So MLA, APA tend to be a little bit more appropriate or suitable for the sciences, or even for the, maybe for the social sciences as well. But the Chicago style is certainly the style that is favored in the humanities. And it's also the style that's favored at Queen's College. And so we do encourage you to use the Chicago style. Now, one of the benefits of the Chicago style, at least in my opinion, is that this is the style that uses the footnote system. And in the footnote system, there's sort of two benefits of using the footnote system. One is that you can put all the bibliographic information into the footnote. So the first time you quote an author, you put a footnote and you put the full bibliographic reference in that first footnote. The second time you quote that same source, you don't have to put the full bibliographic information. You just put the author's name and then a shortened version of the title and then the page number. And then at the end of it, you don't need a bibliography. But if you use the other two styles, you will need a bibliography at the end of your paper, because they used in-text citation, when it's just in brackets after the quote in the middle of your sentence. The other benefit of using the footnote style is if you want to make a little side comment about a source, which wouldn't be suitable really in the body of your text, then you could put that in a footnote too. So you put the footnote, you put the bibliographic reference, and then you can make your little comment in that same footnote. Or for that matter, just use a footnote to, talk about an idea, that you want to talk about, which is sort of marginally important, but not directly appropriate right in the body of your paper. So I will encourage you, Queen's does encourage you to use the Chicago style for your papers there. So what we're going to be looking at now, and so just let me go back here. This is important, of course, because it helps you avoiding inadvertent plagiarism. We've seen this slide before. This is if you go back to your template for note taking, the column where you have written down those key quotes and key paragraphs with the page numbers, that's going to help you avoid plagiarism as well, just to remind you. Okay, and another thing, and I had already slightly mentioned this point here, avoid excessive use of quotes. Don't let your quotes do all the work for you, okay? So like, let's say you've got a whole collection of sources that are absolutely, wonderful, and all kinds of wonderful sentences in them that you really want to use, strikingly original phrasing, etc. Don't just write a paper, which is, I've seen this before, and in some sense it's quite fascinating how this can be done, but it shouldn't be done. And that is to write a paper which is a brilliantly tied together string of quotes, everything absolutely referenced, no plagiarism there, certainly. However, it's not your writing. It may be, in some sense, your thinking to a certain degree, because you have organized it well and drawn together an argument made up of quotes, but it's still not your, really your work. And so basically what you want to do, the best use of quotes would be to have an idea of what argument you want to make to begin with. And then bring in the quotes, bring in your sources as necessary. And don't just sort of stick a quote in out of nowhere. Introduce it. So, for example, there's nothing wrong with introducing the names of your authors in the body of your paragraph. So you're writing about an idea, and then you say, as so-and-so says in this text, right? and then you can give the quote, and then you can engage that a little bit more. So, think of your sources, think of the authors of those sources as people that you're actually having a conversation with in writing, right? So there's kind of a few things going on here. You've got your researcher role and your audience role. So you imagine that you're writing and your audience is sort of listening to you as you're writing, right? And then at the same time, you've got, now imagine now that you bring somebody in to sit by you and you're having a conversation with that person in front of your audience. Okay, so as you're writing, you're sitting in front of your audience, and as you're writing, you're saying, well, I'd like to bring in my friend here, so and so, and you say, this person says in this text, etc., and this is how I'm going to engage it, right? So kind of imagine yourself in front of your audience and with having a dialogue with this other author in front of your audience. And that's the best way to engage quotes, right? Use it to illustrate your own ideas or use it to engage with, but certainly don't use it to, fill up the body of your paper. Don't make the argument itself with a string of quotes, all right? Plagiarism is a serious academic offense. See the Queen's College calendar at that website right there, and it will discuss, what will happen to you if you do it.